I never imagined that the worst betrayal of my life would begin in a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and fear. The last thing I remember before everything went dark was the sound of glass shattering and someone screaming my name. When I woke up, my body felt foreign, heavy, numb, stitched together by pain. Tubes ran from my arms, machines beeped beside me, and a nurse noticed my eyes flutter open. "You're lucky to be alive," she said gently. Lucky. That word felt strange when I couldn't even lift my hand without agony. They told me later that I had been unconscious for 3 days, internal bleeding, emergency surgery, a close call. While I had been fighting for my life, the world outside my hospital room had continued moving without me. My husband, Adam, barely left my side. His eyes were red from exhaustion, his hand always wrapped around mine like he was afraid I might disappear again. He whispered stories about our future, about the house we were saving for, the trip we planned, the quiet life we were building far away from family drama. That life, it was my happiness, and my mother knew exactly how precious it was to me. She arrived on the 4th day. I heard her before I saw her, her sharp heels clicking down the hallway, her voice already demanding attention. When she entered my room, she didn't rush to hug me, she didn't cry, she didn't even ask how much pain I was in. Instead, she looked around, assessed the room, and sighed like my near-death experience was an inconvenience. "So," she said, folding her arms, "you finally woke up?" Adam stiffened beside me, but I squeezed his hand, signaling him to stay calm. I had spent my entire childhood doing the same thing, managing my mother's moods, softening her edges, making peace where none existed. She sat down and immediately began talking about my sister, Lena. "She's been so stressed," my mother said. "This whole situation has been very hard on her." I stared at her, confused. "Hard on Lena?" "Yes," she replied sharply. "She says you never think about how your choices affect her." My chest tightened, not from pain, but disbelief. I was lying in a hospital bed, barely alive, and somehow this was about my sister. Adam spoke up, his voice controlled. "With respect, this isn't the time." My mother shot him a look that could freeze fire. "This is a family matter. You should let us talk." I didn't know it then, but that moment, that single sentence was the first crack in everything I thought was safe. Over the next 2 days, my mother visited often, too often, and every visit followed the same pattern. Lena this, Lena that, how lonely she was, how unfair life had been to her, how I had everything, a loving husband, independence, peace, while my sister had nothing. What she didn't say out loud felt louder than the machines beside me. "You don't deserve your happiness." On the 7th day, when the doctor said I was stable enough to discuss discharge plans, my mother closed the door behind her and sat beside my bed. Her voice dropped. "I made a decision while you were unconscious," she said calmly. My heart sank, because whatever that decision was, I knew it would change my life forever. I had survived surgery, blood loss, and death itself, but I was about to learn that surviving my mother's decision would be far harder.
"I made a decision while you were unconscious." Those words echoed in my head long after my mother said them. I searched her face for concern, guilt, anything that suggested she knew how wrong this was. But her expression was calm, certain, as if she had done me a favor. "What decision?" I asked, my throat dry. She leaned closer, lowering her voice like she was sharing a secret. About your house. About your future. My pulse spiked. My house? Yes, she said. Lena needs stability. She's been struggling, and frankly, you and Adam have more than enough. You're strong. You'll recover. You can start over. Start over. I tried to sit up, pain ripping through my abdomen. You can't be serious. I am, she replied firmly. I spoke to Lena while you were asleep. She's going to move into your home temporarily. Adam stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. Absolutely not. My mother turned to him slowly. This is exactly why I didn't want you involved. You've always filled her head with selfish ideas. Selfish? For wanting to keep the life I built? You had no right, I whispered, my hands shaking. You didn't even ask me. You were unconscious, she snapped. Someone had to think clearly. Lena is my responsibility. And I'm not? My voice cracked. She paused, just for a second. Then she said the words that still haunt me. You've always been stronger than your sister. You can afford to sacrifice. Sacrifice. That word had followed me my entire life. I sacrificed attention, opportunities, dreams. Every time Lena failed, I was expected to step back so she could feel better. I thought adulthood had freed me from that role. I was wrong. Adam reached for my hand, grounding me. Nothing has been decided, he said firmly. My wife is recovering. You don't get to rearrange our lives because it's convenient for you. My mother scoffed. We'll see. That night, after she left, I couldn't sleep. Every beep of the monitor felt louder. My mind replayed her words again and again. I felt violated, not just as a daughter, but as a human being. She had taken advantage of my silence, my vulnerability. The next morning, the nurse handed Adam a stack of papers. Your mother already signed the temporary caregiver forms, she said, casually. My stomach dropped. What? She said she'd be handling post-discharge arrangements, the nurse added. I looked at Adam, panic flooding my chest. I never agreed to that. He shook his head. Neither did I. We demanded the forms. My mother's signature was there. Neat, confident, final. She had positioned herself as my authority while I lay helpless. That afternoon, Lena came to visit. She didn't look worried. She didn't look sad. She looked relieved. I heard you're getting better, she said softly, but her eyes wandered around the room like she was already counting what would soon be hers. Did Mom talk to you? She hesitated, then nodded. She said you'd understand, that you always do. That hurt more than anything else, because she was right. I had always understood, always given in, always made room for everyone else, especially Lena. But lying there, weak and betrayed, something inside me shifted. For the first time, I wondered what would happen if I didn't sacrifice, if I chose myself. I didn't know it yet, but my mother's temporary decision was already setting the stage for a betrayal far worse than losing my house, and it was waiting for me at home.
The day I was discharged should have felt like a victory. I had survived surgery. I had survived the nights where pain felt endless, and the days where I wondered if my body would ever feel normal again. Walking out of the hospital should have meant relief. Instead, it felt like walking into a trap.
My mother insisted on driving us home. Adam wanted to take me straight to our house, but she dismissed him with a tight smile. "You're exhausted," she said. "I've already prepared everything." Prepared everything. I was too tired to argue. My body still trembled with every step, and I just wanted my bed, my familiar space, the place where I felt safe. When we pulled into our driveway, my chest tightened. Lena's car was already there. Before I could speak, my mother parked and turned off the engine. "Don't make this difficult," she said, without looking at me. Adam helped me inside. The front door opened and the smell hit me first. Different perfume, unfamiliar food, something that wasn't home. When I stepped inside, my knees nearly gave out. My furniture had been rearranged. Family photos of Adam and me were gone, replaced with framed pictures of Lena. Her shoes lined the hallway. Her coat hung on my hook. My hook. "What is this?" I whispered. Lena appeared from the kitchen, holding a mug like she belonged there. "Oh, hi, you're home already." Home. Adam's voice shook with anger. "What did you do?" My mother walked past us like nothing was wrong. "Lena needs the master bedroom. It's closer to the bathroom. You'll be more comfortable in the guest room while you recover." I felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. "The guest room?" I repeated. "You can't climb stairs yet," she reasoned. "This makes sense." Nothing about this made sense. "That's our bedroom," Adam said. "You don't get to decide that." My mother finally turned, her eyes cold. "I do when my daughter can barely stand." I realized then she wasn't talking about me. She was talking about Lena. I was helped into the guest room, my body aching, my mind screaming. The room was smaller, colder, stripped of anything personal. My life had been packed away like it didn't matter. That night, I heard laughter in the living room, Lena's laugh, my mother's voice. They watched TV together like it was a celebration. Adam sat beside me on the bed, fists clenched. "This isn't temporary," he whispered. "She planned this." Tears slid silently down my face. She waited until I couldn't fight back. The next morning, I woke to voices arguing in the kitchen. "I told you to be careful," Lena snapped. "She's noticing things." My mother sighed. "She always does, but she won't say anything. She never does." I held my breath, my heart pounding. "She owes you," my mother continued. "She has everything because she's selfish. This is balance." Balance. I stepped into the doorway, trembling. "So this is what you think." They froze. My mother turned slowly. "You shouldn't be standing." "I shouldn't be erased either," I said, my voice breaking but steady. Lena crossed her arms. "You're being dramatic. It's just a house." Just a house? I wanted to scream that it was my marriage, my peace, my proof that I had built something on my own, but the words stayed stuck in my chest. That night, Adam told me something that changed everything. "She asked me to leave," he said quietly. My blood ran cold. "Who?" "Your mother. She said I was interfering and that you needed family, not a husband." I realized then the house was only the beginning. If I thought losing my home hurt, I had no idea what my mother was planning to take from me next, and it involved the one person who truly stood by my side.
When Adam told me my mother wanted him gone, something inside me went completely still. Not calm, not acceptance, something colder. "She said it like it was logical," he continued, his jaw tight. "You're causing her stress. She needs to focus on healing. You can stay somewhere else for a while." A while?
I repeated. We both knew what that meant. In my mother's world, a while had no end date. She doesn't get to decide that, I said, forcing myself to sit straighter despite the pain. This is my marriage. Adam nodded, but I could see the doubt creeping into his eyes. Not about us, but about me, about whether I'd stand up this time. And that hurt more than my mother's cruelty. Later that day, my mother knocked before entering, though she didn't wait for permission. I think it would be best if Adam stayed with a friend, just until you're stronger. I laughed softly, surprised by the sound. You mean until he gives up? Her expression hardened. Don't twist my words. You don't need to twist them, I replied. You've been trying to push him out since the day we married. She scoffed. He changed you. No, I said quietly. He showed me I mattered. That was the wrong thing to say. Her face flushed with anger. You're confused because you're weak right now. Lena understands you better. She's been here every day. Every day, rearranging my life. You're isolating me, I said. You took my room, my home, and now you want my husband. I'm protecting you, she snapped, from stress, from bad influences. Adam stepped forward. I'm not leaving. My mother turned to him, her voice low and venomous. If you care about her, you will. That night, I woke up to the sound of arguing. I heard Adam's voice, then my mother's. I struggled out of bed, clutching the doorframe as pain shot through me. She needs rest, my mother hissed. If you stay, you're choosing yourself over her health. I stepped into the hallway. Stop. They both turned. My mother's eyes widened slightly, not in fear, but in irritation. Go back to bed. No, I said. You don't get to threaten my husband in my house. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. You're being ungrateful. Ungrateful? I laughed bitterly. You used my illness to take control. Lena appeared behind her, arms crossed. Mom's just helping. You always overreact. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and finally understood. This wasn't about helping her heal. This was about giving her my life. That night, Adam and I locked the guest room door. It felt ridiculous, locking ourselves in our own home, but it was the only space that still felt like ours. In the darkness, Adam whispered, "If this is too much, we can leave." Leave. The word scared me, but staying scared me more. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. I've spoken to a lawyer. If Adam doesn't leave voluntarily, I'll make sure he does. My hands shook as I read. I finally understood. She wasn't trying to help me heal. She was trying to erase my marriage completely. By the next morning, I would learn just how far my mother was willing to go, and why my sister had been so quiet all along.
I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined strangers showing up at my door, legal papers, police, something official that would make my mother's threat real. My body was still weak, but my mind was racing like it was preparing for war. When morning came, the house was quiet.
too quiet. Adam had already gone to make coffee when I heard raised voices outside. I forced myself to the window and looked down. Lena was crying. My mother stood in front of her, arms crossed, whispering harshly. Lena wiped her face quickly when she saw me watching. Minutes later, Lena knocked on my door. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice unusually soft. I hesitated, then nodded. She sat on the edge of the bed, twisting her fingers together. "I didn't want it to go this far." "Then why did it?" I asked. She swallowed. "Because I needed this." "Needed what?" I demanded. "My house? My husband gone? My life?" Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You don't understand. I have nothing." "That's not true," I said. "You've always had Mom." She flinched. "She promised me," Lena continued, "that this was temporary, that once you recovered, things would go back to normal." I laughed hollowly. "You believe that?" "She said Adam was the problem," Lena whispered. "That if he left, you'd come back to us, that you'd stop choosing him over family." There it was, the truth my sister had been hiding. "This was about control," I said slowly, "not care." Lena looked away. "She said you owed us." I felt something snap inside me. Not anger, not sadness, but clarity. "I almost died, and instead of protecting me, you both used it." Lena sobbed harder. "I didn't think she'd threaten him." "But you let her," I replied, "because it benefited you." She stood abruptly. "If you push back, she'll cut me off." And suddenly, I understood Lena too. She wasn't evil. She was dependent. Later that day, Adam told me he had called a lawyer. "I didn't want to worry you," he said, "but we needed to know our options." My mother overheard. "A lawyer," she repeated, amused. "You think you can win?" "I don't need to win," Adam said calmly. "I just need you to stop." She smiled. "You won't." That evening, an envelope appeared on the kitchen counter. Official, heavy, final. Inside were documents claiming my mother had temporary guardianship authority due to my medical vulnerability. My name was misspelled. My consent was forged. My hands shook as I held the papers. She planned this from the beginning. Adam wrapped his arms around me. Then we end it. As if summoned, my mother walked in. "I told you I'd handle it." "Handle what? Stealing my life?" She tilted her head. "You should thank me. Lena will finally be stable." Something in her tone confirmed what I feared most. This wasn't temporary. This was permanent. Unless I did something I had never done before. The next move would cost me my mother forever, but if I didn't make it, I would lose myself instead.
I stared at the forged papers long after my mother left the room. My name written in someone else's hand. My life reduced to a legal excuse. It felt surreal, like I was watching a stranger's tragedy unfold in my own house. "This isn't real," I whispered. "But it is," Adam said gently, "and we have to act." For the first time since my hospitalization, I wasn't just reacting, I was choosing. We packed a bag quietly, not everything, just what mattered. Documents, clothes, the small photo album my mother hadn't replaced yet. I moved slowly, my body protesting, but my resolve growing stronger with every step. When my mother realized what we were doing, she exploded. "You're not leaving," she shouted, blocking the doorway. "You're not well enough."
I'm well enough to know when I'm being controlled, I said. She laughed sharply. You think running away makes you strong? No, I replied. Standing up does. Lena appeared behind her, pale and silent. Our eyes met. This is what you wanted, I said softly. She didn't answer. Adam called the police, not to accuse, but to document, to create a record. The presence of authority changed my mother's tone instantly. She became calm, polite, the victim. She's confused, she told them. She just got out of the hospital. I took a breath and spoke clearly. I am leaving by choice. My husband is with me. Any documents you have are forged. The officer looked at the papers, then at me. Ma'am, do you want to file a report? I looked at my mother. Her eyes pleaded now, not with love, but with fear of losing control. Yes, I said. That single word felt heavier than all the pain I'd endured in the hospital. We left that night, not with closure, not with peace, but with freedom. I thought leaving would be the hardest part, but the real consequences were still waiting, and they would test me more than any illness ever had.
Months passed. My body healed slowly, but my mind healed faster than I expected. Distance has a way of clarifying things. Without my mother's constant presence, I realized how quiet life could be, and how safe. My mother didn't call. Lena sent one message, "I hope you're happy." I didn't reply, because happiness was no longer something I needed to explain. The legal case ended quietly. The forged documents were dismissed. My mother never apologized. She told relatives I was ungrateful and manipulated by my husband. For the first time, I didn't defend myself. I didn't need to. Adam and I moved into a smaller place. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. No one rearranged our furniture. No one decided our future without us. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the hospital, about how close I came to losing everything without even knowing it. But I also think about what I gained: a voice, a boundary, a life no one can take while I'm unconscious. Because the hardest truth I learned wasn't about my mother or my sister, it was about myself. I survived the hospital, I survived the betrayal, and I finally chose me. If you've ever been hurt by the people who were supposed to protect you, remember this: survival isn't just about staying alive. Sometimes it's about walking away.